Good evening, and thank you for joining us this evening for our City Council meeting. We'll go ahead and get started. Ruth, could you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Atkinson? Here. Gray?
Here.
Brown?
Here.
Johnston?
Here.
Moore?
Here.
Orr?
Here.
Glad?
Here. Thank you. If you'd please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, after which, if you'd remain standing for the invocation, which will be offered by Associate Pastor Richard Baugh from the Blazing Grace Church.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Father, we come before you and we ask for your guidance and wisdom over this body tonight as we discuss the matters that need to be discussed. We ask for the gift of discernment to come down and bless everybody that's in here so that the business that is conducted can be done in your glory, Father. These things we ask humbly in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. We'll move on to agenda item number 3 is the consent agenda. The following business items may be approved by one motion and a vote. If any one member of the council so desires, any matter that can be moved to a separate agenda item. A, minutes. Council may wish to waive the oral reading of the minutes and approve the minutes from July 13, 2017 study session. B, payroll and material claims. Council may wish to consider payroll and material claims for the month of July 2017. Good evening, Joyce.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Joyce Stroshine, Chief Financial Officer for the city. Tonight I'm presenting the payroll and material claims report for the month of July. Payroll and material claims totaled $6,457,383. Payroll-related claims were $3,613,571. Vendor claims, $2,843,812. We had changes in filled positions of a decrease of 1 in a full-time status, decrease of 10 in the part-time status, and a decrease of 1 in the seasonal status for an overall decrease of 12. Vendor-related claims, I already gave you that. So highlighted, I've presented to you the highest 4 vendor payments for the month. Knife River, $473,018. Airport construction, that's for the taxiway and runway project. RCSI, $542,112. WPC, Phosphorus Project Contractor Payment Number 25. Northwest Equipment Sales Incorporated, $212,218. Sanitation, Mack Truck with Heil, $5,000. Packer Body, and the Wells Fargo Purchase Card Program, $258,420. This was the July P-card cycle. The remaining large vendor claims are presented for your review, and this report explains 87.45% of all the vendor claims for the month. On the back of the report, I present to you the July purchase card activity. We had 1,172 transactions totaling $258,420, and we had 153 cardholders use their card this month. I've listed the 3 purchase agents who had monthly totals greater than $10,000 with descriptions of the type of purchases they made for the month. This concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions, council? Thank you, Joyce.
Thank you.
Move on to C, Historic Preservation Commission reappointment. Council may wish to confirm the mayor's reappointment of Kelsey Stenerson to continue her service as a member of the Historic Preservation Commission. Mrs. Stenerson's term will begin August 22, 2017 and expire August 22, 2020. D, exception request, Fill the Boot fundraiser. Council may wish to consider a request from Pocatello Firefighters Local 187 for an exception to ordinance or laws that would prevent the group from gathering funds for the Muscular Dystrophy Association Fill the Boot fundraiser on the public right-of-ways at intersections of Highline Road and El Rancho Boulevard and the intersection of South 8th Avenue and Carter Street from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on September 8, 2017. E, Council Decision 648 South 6th Avenue exception request. Council may wish to adopt its decision approving the exception request made by Arlen Walker, changing the designation of property located at 648 South 6th Avenue, Pocatello, from a multi-family unit to a single-family home for utility billing purposes. F, council decision, Hillside Village subdivision plat approval. Council may wish to adopt this decision approving the final short plat for the Hillside Village subdivision, which subdivides approximately 6.34 acres of land into 2 residential lots, subject to conditions. The property is located at Bertie Thompson Drive and Hospital Way and is zoned residential high density RH. Lot 1 shall have an R restriction placed indicating no direct access to Bertie Thompson Drive or Hospital Way. Will be permitted. Lot 1 will have direct access through Lot 2. Lot 2 will have direct access from Bertie Thompson Drive.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion by Johnston and a second by Moore. Ruth, could you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Johnston?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Adamson?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Fuller?
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 4, communication and proclamations. We do not have any proclamations, and I am not seeing any scouts out there for us to recognize them. So we'll move on to agenda item 5 is a calendar review. Council may wish to take this opportunity to inform other council members of upcoming meetings and events that should be called to their attention. On August 7, at 9 a.m. will be an executive session. August 10 at 10 a.m. will be a study session. August 17 at 1 p.m. a council study session clarification working lunch. August 17, 6 p.m. regular council meeting. Other events, August 12, Fun Run Element Outfitters. Contact the Community Recreation Center for more information. August 17, Zoo Idaho Astronomy Night, 9:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m., $10 per person. Contact the zoo office for more information. August 19, Annual Zoofari Ice Cream Event, 12 noon to 4 p.m. at Zoo Idaho. August 21, Community Recreation Center will be closed for annual maintenance. Work beginning Monday, August 21. The center is scheduled to reopen on September 5 at 6 a.m. While the patron facility will be closed, the business offices will remain open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Marshall Public Library will feature a Great American Eclipse display during the month of August. We'll move on to agenda item number 6, Child Care License Denial Appeal, Calland. Kelsey Hallinan will be present to appeal the decision of Pocatello Police Department staff which denied Ms. Hallinan a child care license.
Mayor, members of City Council, Janae Perman, licensing with the Pocatello Police Department.
Research and get instant feedback from people around the world.
After careful consideration, the Pocatello Police Department has denied Kelsey Hallinan a child care license because in March 15th of 2015, she admitted to trying to stab her husband with a screwdriver twice. Any questions?
Questions, council?
Is that, how did that end up? How'd that thing all end up?
She was originally charged with aggravated assault, domestic related, but it was amended to disturbing the peace.
So that's the only event that precludes her from...
That is correct, yes. Her admission to guilt.
Is Kelsey present?
She is.
I would like to ask her a question or two.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Kelsey, if you could come up here, please. If you'd state your name and address.
My name is Kelsey Hallinan, and I live at 331.5 South Grant.
Councilman Johnston.
Kelsey, I know it's a tough thing to be here tonight, so be relaxed. We're really nice people. Ask him.
On this side, we are. That side, they're not so much.
Do you think this offense that you committed and went to court over would impact your ability to care for children appropriately?
No,
How can we be convinced of that?
because I've never been a violent person. I love kids. I have 3 of my own kids, and I'm really good with them, and I love to just be around them, and I love people, And so I think I'm a nice, caring person.
Would these children be cared for in your home?
Yes.
Okay. And how many children would you want to be licensed to care for?
Oh, not for in my home, no.
Oh, so you're going to work for someone else?
Yes.
Which child?
White House?
The White House daycare.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Was this adjudicated, you said you pled to a lesser degree, is that what?
Yes.
What were the details of your probation? You probably had some.
The only thing that they told me to do was pay off my fines.
To what?
To pay off my fines.
Yeah, so you didn't have any structure, anger management, or anything like that?
I took classes, but it was for different reason.
Okay,
So I took anger management and parenting classes.
okay.
Is this your husband with you?
Yes.
He looks like he survived.
yeah.
I'd be happy to hear from you, Josh.
I want to make something very clear. I was not stabbed at all.
So, Josh, if you would give us your name.
My name is Joshua Calland. I am her husband. I was never stabbed in the case at all. I just wanted to put that out there. The reason why it was dropped down to disturbing the peace is because everybody that was doing the case saw that there was nothing really happened at all. So basically nothing happened in that situation that I was harmed in any way.
Okay. Now, you look like you could defend yourself.
How did the police get involved?
We actually had our neighbor call that we were yelling at each other outside. Neighbor called the police and they showed up. They did an investigation and she got arrested for it. And yeah, that's basically all.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay,
I'd move that we overturn the police department's recommendation and grant her a daycare license.
Second.
we have a motion by Moore and a second by Johnston. Ruth, could you please call the roll?
Moore?
Yes.
Johnston?
Yes.
Adamson?
No.
Bray?
No.
Brown?
Yes.
Orr?
No.
So Black?
Goes to the mayor.
I think no. So motion fails.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. We'll move on to agenda item number 7 is a public hearing, proposed fiscal year 2018 budget. This time has been set aside for council to receive public comment on the proposed fiscal year 2018 city budget. I declare the public hearing open. Joyce.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Joyce Stroshine, Chief Financial Officer for the city. This evening's public hearing is to invite comments on the proposed budget for fiscal year 2018, which begins on October 1st. The Mayor, Council, and City staff began fiscal year 2018's budget development in March with initial direction on budget strategy items, which would drive the development of numbers. These initial decisions included fuel rates, employee compensation plan, and health benefits. During this process, the city decided to adopt the new pay plan and change the employer-employee medical distribution percentages to 5% for one party, 10% for two party, and 15% for three party. The mayor and council was also presented with a new method of budget presentation, where each department provides service level information, flat budget and operating and capital line items, and requests for increases and proposed fee increases. This method of presentation provided complete analysis of each department under review. Revenue estimates were reviewed in June for non-property tax revenue. Minor reductions in revenue estimates were acknowledged in the cable franchise revenues and the magistrate court charges. The remaining revenues forecasted growth for an overall increase of $472,065. This conservative approach to budget development was rewarded by beginning the tax fund balancing process, requiring less than $50,000 in additional revenue sources to obtain a balanced budget. Since valuation and new construction numbers are not available prior to publication, the mayor and council decided to publish the proposed budget by taking all of the estimated $20 million in new construction and the available 3% property tax, totaling $829,572. This position gave the city flexibility to respond to the final budget after valuation numbers became available. This week, Bannock County provided the city with property valuation numbers, which indicated an overall increase of about $59 million in valuation. Overall, new construction was reported at $28,879,927 and annexation at $1,886,597 for fiscal year 2018. Part of the new construction includes the Western States facility. Next year, the city will recognize at least $20 million in new construction on the Great Western malting plant. In 5 years, the full valuation will be taxed at full value. The initial year represents only 25% of the valuation due to the property tax abatement. Homeowners exemptions increased in 2017 from $94,745 to $100,000. Overall, valuation in the city indicates solid growth. I would like to take this opportunity to commend the mayor, council, and city staff on adoption of the new budget process. This budget is the most robust budget developed by the city by addressing employee compensation, medical benefits, operating increases, and capital needs for the services provided to our citizens. I believe the effort is rewarded with the final results. The city will receive public comment tonight, then consider the budget ordinance at the next regular meeting of August 17th. This concludes my presentation. I will address questions at this time.
Questions, council? Okay. Seeing none, have you had any correspondence?
I have not received any correspondence.
Okay. Thank you. Then we'll move to testimony. We would ask for any testimony of supporting the application. Any testimony uncommitted to the application?
Mayor, City Council, Stephen Conway, 743 South Main Street. I would like to start by addressing just a few things about the budget that I must remain uncommitted to as a citizen in the city. The first being the projected 2.98% increase in city levy rate. Not only as a citizen that does pay property tax, but as having a vested interest in the city's income. I think it is a possibility that the city needs to consider that we are now beginning to tax ourselves out of income. As we increase property tax on individual properties, our tax base has started to decrease. And while tax assessed values on homes have been increasing, which would indicate growth, I think a more clear indicator would be market value of homes, which has remained relatively flat. Aside from property tax in the city, I would like to address the discontinuation of longevity pay for city employee workers. This coming in stark contrast to the raise that City Council recently voted to give themselves. I think this is something that needs to be reconsidered before agreeing to accept the fiscal year 2018 budget. The last is more a question than a statement. Under Fund 073, Water Construction Fund, there is a projected expenditure for $2.6 million, give or take, that has a budgeted revenue of $0. I find this deeply concerning, especially because the only proposed fund use for this is from a bond, which means that not only is the city going to be burdened with this expense this year, but for the next several. And I think this is, it's necessary to indicate what this is going to be used for. That wasn't really clear within the budget. I think this needs to be addressed also. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others uncommitted?
Good evening, Council. My name is Linda Lurick, and I reside at 835 East Halliday Street. And I actually have very similar concerns to Stephen. I see that property values, and when we're talking market value, they don't seem to be going up very much. And judging by my own house, my property value has remained pretty steady for several years, and yet our taxes go up, and we seem to be reassessing and reevaluating properties on a continual basis and raising taxes accordingly, but the market values don't seem to be going up. So I'm concerned about that, and concerned about whether that's a sustainable practice for our budget. The other thing is I do have a question also about this water construction fund and what exactly that is. I noticed that item too and couldn't find information about it. So this $2.65 million expense, I was just curious as to what that would be for. And I think that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others uncommitted?
I'm Chris Stevens, and I live at 4801 Kim Drive. And my concerns are brought on by the property tax, but they're really broader than that. In a time when citizens' faith in government and elected officials is fragile, if not irreparably damaged, transparency is key. In a time when the middle class and the working poor are losing ground, giving assurances of even-handedness in government finance is key. It is true that businesses and corporations such as Great Western Malting provide jobs and create earnings for their shareholders and investors, large and small. They are a key piece of local, national, and global economies. However, it is also true that taxpayers ultimately foot a large portion of the bill for the financial incentives and tax breaks these businesses receive. In the Great Western Malting situation, we once again discover that a corporation receives a tax break while local property taxpayers' rates go up again following the recent multi-year trend. Many of us who currently own property in Pocatello have worked hard and saved for many years, quietly paying our taxes, our utility bills, the costs of raising and educating our families, our city services fees, and so forth. Many of us are now retired on fixed incomes that are rapidly being outpaced by tax increases and the rising costs of daily living, groceries, car repairs, heat, medical care, etc. There are 6 taxing entities in Pocatello, and at least 4 of them stand in line regularly for a portion of our incomes. While all of these entities provide valuable services that we have come to expect as part of living in Pocatello, the cost of providing them continues to rise faster than the salaries for those who are working or the cost of living adjustments for those on fixed incomes. I call on our city officials, mayor, department heads, city council members, and all officials To examine the processes employed when giving Great Western Malting and other businesses and corporations tax breaks and incentives. I urge them to look for sources other than property owners for funding.
Thank you, ma'am. Time is up. Thank you.
I thought I had 3 minutes.
It did.
It flies by.
It goes faster than you think.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
And please listen.
Thank you. Any others uncommitted to the application?
I'd like to address the issues of taxing in beautiful valley, because I know some issues, but of course, this is election year. I suppose that's good to talk about taxes. But we also have assessors that take a look at one part of town and kind of adjust the tax base that they're going to charge somebody else in another part of town, based on that kind of manipulations there, from one side of the valley to the next, from the north area to the east. We also have the issues of, I don't know that much about the Great Western, but I sure remember HOCO, and I remember the county upset that they had to fork up all this money for these incentives, and what did they get out of it? What did anybody get out of it? So incentive issues are important, but who's paying for it is also very important. I guess you can approach other ways about it. But mainly I'm concerned about, and what I would like to present, is the issue of if the government does change, then we want to make sure our budget proposals for fiscal year 2018 are open and quickly adjustable to issues that if we get the fundings for cleanup in Pocatello, billions of dollars, we would like a change of most departments in most areas in our budget to reflect that and deal with it rather than continually spending our taxpayers' public monies here for cover up the roads or whatever, but look at cleanup and removal. So our community and our university will not have a legacy that has been created that is bleak at the very best in terms of its long-term run. And those of you who are on the city council as well, your future. Where are you going? Where are we going? Are we going to work together or we're not? And forgot to mention about the town hall meeting. Mayor Brian Black, for Monday here, regarding those issues on the uranium cleanup, contamination on our public schools, who's responsible, those kinds of issues. So we hope the community is very informative about it, but we do not want people who are not educated for absolute integrity is what we ask for. So other than that, thank you.
Thank you. Any others uncommitted? Okay, then any opposed to the application? Seeing none, I would ask Joyce to come up. There were a few questions to...
Okay, I'm going to just kind of go down through the list of the questions that were posed. Initially, the first question was about the levy rate at increasing at 2.9. Okay. When we published the document, that was prior to us receiving the valuation numbers. So, of course, it was a little high because we brought in an additional $59 million in valuation, which, of course, forced that levy rate to go down the percentage of increase. So it's really at 1.39% with the current budget proposed. And I would also note that your CPI this year was at 1.64%, so the increase is still less than the consumer price index increase for the year. Number two, Fund 73, it has in it about approximately $2.65 million. This was monies received from a water bond that we issued in February of 2008. The monies are set aside for water rights purchasing, and so that's why you don't see any revenue come in, because it's in the reserves sitting there waiting to be expended as we locate the water rights that we want to purchase. Number
so
three.
It might be good to put some different wording with that so it's easily,
yeah,
because that's all it can be used for, right?
That's right. And that's why it sits there waiting to be used for the purpose intended by the bond. Number 3, longevity pay has been discontinued in all departments except for fire starting in the fiscal year 2018. And we can't look at fire until the fire contract comes up for renewal, which won't come up for renewal until the year 2020. Assessed valuation, someone asked about the assessed valuation and why their values haven't gone up. How the county assesses and revalues property, it's on a 20% of the citywide. So every 5 years, everybody will be looked at. So if your property hasn't been looked at, it could be coming up next year or the following year, depending on when the last time it was reviewed. I know that the review this past year was in the Satterfield Highland area for these property tax numbers, so that $59 million really represents a lot of that area.
So with that, the value of my house, when it's assessed by the assessor, doesn't influence the rate that somebody's going to pay on the other side of town, or does it?
Well, depending on what we do as a city, taking property tax, the only impact they have is the 1.39%.
Right, but from a taxable situation, the value of my house that I'm being assessed, that percentage on my home, not percentage, but that's not going to influence what somebody else pays.
No, it does not. If your value goes up and we have more value in the city as a whole, then based on what we take, the impact is on the levy rate, okay? And so more valuation comes up. If I take this many dollars, well, it went up by the $59 million. That means that levy rate's going to drop. That's how it works, because we're not taking additional dollars on top of that, because when we assessed what we were going to take, it was 3% at the $129,000, and we had new construction estimated at the $20 million, which was really less than what we actually received. And so that's what we determined. Okay. Expansion of the Great Western Malting Plant will impact our market valuation for the city by approximately $90 million by year 6, and producing approximately $990,000 in additional property tax revenue. Without impacting the levy rate. Actually, it could make the levy rate go down, because in that particular year, unless we take additional dollars of $990,000, it's going to force the levy rate down, because we're limited too on how much we could take. By state law, we're limited at 3%. We're limited to new construction. Now, you do have foregone tax out there, and you could take additional dollars at the time. But when Great Western comes on, it will come on as new construction, so we'd have that ability to take it at that time. But the thing is that it helps to support the tax-supported services. So in year 1, which will be next year, the estimate is around $22 million, which should produce about $225,000 in additional tax to support our tax-supported services like fire, police, streets. And so that's what those dollars would be available for. So the expansion of the Great Western Malting Plant is a good thing for the city of Pocatello as a whole.
One more thing. I talked to people who have been assessors, and it's true that when your house is evaluated, somebody else's won't go up unless our housing cost index is going up. In other words, if all the houses are going up, and your house and everybody else, if it hits 6%, I think it's a trigger that the state kind of goes by. If you have a 6% community float, then they automatically apply that across the board to keep it in the range that the state requires.
And yes, they do have to follow the rules by the state. It's my understanding that we haven't had those triggers occur.
No.
So.
Well, not in the last few years.
No.
Thanks. Mayor, two more questions. I just need the clarification on the longevity.
Okay.
We talked about longevity ceasing this next fiscal year.
That's correct.
This has been a long conversation and a very arduous task.
Yes.
We are not leaving the employees, we're not taking that money away from them.
No. When we developed the pay plan took into consideration where they're at right now, plus the longevity, and placed them, trying to get them closer to a market-based wage, because we were under. And so we kept people whole and placed them in the closest slot based on the development of the pay plan and the pay grade table that would give them the next bump up. And then, of course, it follows the pay plan based on the grade table after that point.
So it offers a greater sense of transparency.
Yes. The problem and the complexity of longevity is that it was considered an ad pay. So if you made a request to the city and asked what's the base wage for such and such worker, we would tell you that, but the thing is it would not include that longevity ad pay. Now with the new approach, it does that, so you know exactly what you're paying that individual in pay, and so it does provide more transparency.
Now I have a question. Do you have another question?
I can come back to it.
The question I have is, with us doing that, rolling longevity into their pay, moving people to a market, I understand we're still not at market. We're still below market.
That's right.
For the employers, but it's a step forward to
You're moving them closer.
Moving them closer to market.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'd like to address a dangerous subject. That is our pay raise that we're getting. Because generally, I wouldn't bring that up in an open meeting, right? That would be stupid. Could you tell us, do you know right off the top of your head how much more I'm going to make next year being a city council member?
Approximately $610 for the year.
$610 for the year?
Yes.
All right. And so how many meetings did we have last year, Mayor?
85.
Oh my goodness, we had
We had 63 more meetings than we did the year before.
Yeah.
It was 85.
And we had a lot of meetings the year before.
And the other thing to point out is the council members have not had a raise. I'm kind of searching my memory bank, but I think it was 2008.
Yes.
It's been a while.
That's correct. Okay. Well.
And the only time that we can take those is on the election year.
Correct.
Yes.
That would be correct.
Yeah, that's pretty transparent, right?
Yes.
It is.
Very upfront.
Yeah. Okay.
And they don't go into effect until after the election.
Correct.
That's correct.
Thank you.
First pay in January.
That's right. Just that's
I'm
what the
going to
law
pass on
says.
mine, by the way.
Not going to worry about yours. Okay, any other questions? Councilman Orr.
Ms. Joyce, back to the longevity pay. How long have we been working on, or how long have we been working on this?
Longevity pay and pay plan, all of it rolled into one, at least 3 years, maybe 4.
Okay, and so I think there's nothing more overwhelming to a member of the city council as when they first come on the council as to the complexity of the city of Pocatello. We've discussed just a few things here. The water rights. That in itself is a huge issue statewide, and thanks to the vision of leaders years ago, the city of Pocatello sits in a very, very good place when it comes to water and water rights. There are other facilities, municipalities, wells that, in dry years can be required by state law to be shut off. So I think it's important for the citizens of Pocatello to understand that based on what has been done in the past, present, and hopefully the future, you will have water coming out of your taps. One other thing that I'd like to make is that regarding to Great Western and that those monies, that is my understanding, that's a fee-based, it's not tax.
Yeah, that's a fee-based fund. And the other thing to keep in mind with the Great Western, there are 7 different rate charges applied. The only one that was given the discount was the volume charge. and it was one of the smaller rates versus, I'm trying to remember, I don't have it with me, I have it over on the other side for the next session. But it was one of the smaller rates.
Okay. Thank you, Joyce.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, I declare the public hearing closed. This item will be prepared for ordinance on August 17th meeting. Thank you. Agenda item number 8, public hearing, proposed fiscal year 2018 fee changes. This time has been set aside for council to receive public comments on proposed fee changes proposed for fiscal year 2018. I declare the public hearing open. If Joyce can get a drink so she can come back up.
So I can talk again.
Maybe she went out.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and council members. Joyce Stroshine, Chief Financial Officer for the city. Tonight we are holding the public hearing for the proposed increases to selected fees for the fiscal year beginning on October 1st, 2017. The proposed fee increases are due to an increase in cost of programs in an attempt by departments to recover costs of services through fees assessed versus tax increases. The goal of fees are to cover the full or partial cost of services that largely or solely benefit individuals, which allows maximum discretion in the use of taxes to meet the cost of services that provide a larger community benefit. This process is referred to as a cost recovery approach. Tax-supported services which have a strong relationship between the cost of services and the benefit received by the individual receiving the service requires a higher cost of recovery. Fees should be periodically adjusted to keep up with the inflation, or else more of the burden falls unfairly on the general taxpayer. During the budget development process this year, departments reviewed the cost of services to evaluate whether an increase in the program fees were required to meet the cost of recovery for the service. The majority of fee increases are related to this process. This year we have new fees in various departments. For instance, in outdoor recreation, Thor race fees are proposed for the new event. Departments have taken existing fees and restructured the fee. An example is the plan review and installation inspection of fire alarm systems fee was restructured from a quantity of devices fee, for instance, 10 or more devices up to 100, to a per device fee. In the cases of the utilities, sanitation, water, and water pollution control, these business-type activities are 100% fee-supported. No tax dollars are involved. Utility fees are reviewed by an outside consultant and designed to recover costs of providing the service to meet both operational demands and capital needs. The proposed fee increases related to sanitation, water, and water pollution control are set based on the rate study plan established during the rate study in fiscal year 2014. And this rate study will be in effect until fiscal year 2019. The overall increase for sanitation, a 3% increase; for water, a 4% increase; and for water pollution control, a 3% increase. The mayor and council will consider citizens' opinions related to the fee increases at this public hearing. The final step in the process is to adopt the fee resolution during the August 17th City Council meeting. This concludes my report, and I will address any questions at this time.
Questions? Okay. Have you had any correspondence? Has there been any correspondence?
I've received no communication.
Okay. Thank you. Then we'll move to any testimony of those supporting the application. Any testimony uncommitted to the application?
I'm back.
Make a decision.
Thank you for addressing all of my questions in the previous public hearing. I do just have one.
If you would go ahead and state your name again.
Stephen Conway, 743 South Main. I do just have one more question about the increase in water rates. As Council Member Orr pointed out, we are in a good position for water. I am a little bit curious as to why we are then raising our fees for the water rates. It seems to be a trend that most of the cities in our area have actually begun to lower their rates since fiscal year 2016. I am just a little curious as to why ours are going up. But that is the only concern I'd like to address with you guys today.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any others uncommitted? Any opposed to the application? Okay. Okay, then we would ask Joyce to come answer the question if you can. We got Justin over there if we need
Well, my best response.
Justin, but I think the biggest question, the only question was, the City of Pocatello seems to be increasing the 3% water rates or the 4% water rates, where the trend for other communities throughout in our area is to lower their water rates.
Well, the approach the city takes is we hire outside consultants. During the process, we review volume, flow, how much usage is being used on our water, how much on sanitation, and how much on WPC. And then we determine what are the needs to keep these operations running, both capital and just normal operations. And for if we have more users come into our system, we have to accommodate that. So that being said, we adopt a rate study, and when we do, we follow the rate study. The good news is let's say we're doing these rate increases that are planned for the next 5 years based on what we consider to be the revenue that will come in to meet the demand of the expenditures we have to do in order to keep our systems running. If at the end of the 5 years when we go out for another rate study, let's say we ended up building more reserves than we had expected for whatever purpose. Maybe it had been the cost of doing some of the capital improvements during that 5-year period was not as high as we had to, that we forecasted, because you're making a forecast. Or additional demand for operational needs was less. I mean, all of those events can take place because you're making a forecast of what you think. You have to at least err on the conservative side, because the last thing we would want to do is not have enough funds available to meet the demand of service. So if we get there and the reserves are higher, the odds are that your rate increases are going to be either 0 or less, because as you forecast what you need for the next 5 years, we take into consideration where the funds are at the time of the review. And so that's the positive part about following a rate study, is because then you're assured of meeting your demand of services, and you're also assured that you're going to be either in a positive place so that you don't hit the end of the 5 years and find out, oh my goodness, we didn't take the rate increases we needed, and now we need to take a 10% or a 12% increase because we didn't take any during the following years, because now our operational and our capital needs are large. And a lot of agencies or entities around our area do not adopt a rate study. They try to determine this on their own, and that can have its own volatility and issues. So I like our approach because I think we rely on pretty good, consistent data, and we try to take the approach that will get us to the best place at the end of the 5 years and also meet our demands.
So, Roger?
I have a few questions.
Okay.
I think people are aware that I have questions about the Western agreement. First of all, has there been any study done in terms of what that agreement would do to our rate studies?
We have not gone out and completed an additional rate study at this point.
So, I mean, we don't know what that impact would be.
No, but we do. I will say this. We do monitor, both through our reserve review and our operational expectation each year, and right now, WPC is meeting the demands that they need to meet with the revenue flow.
But I'm just trying to get enough information. I'm not against using that as a tool. I just need to know how the tool's going to be used.
Right.
Are there any records of the cost-benefit analysis? You alluded to the fact that Great Western would be a positive thing in terms of our taxes. Have we done a cost-benefit analysis of that?
Between the two? Right now, we're in the process of reviewing the billings in WPC. That was an action we decided to take. And once I complete that, then I can take the next step to do the analysis.
Okay, so there's not an analysis I can just pull up and look at?
That I have at this moment, no.
Is there So we don't know what we're leveraging. It's not really quantified. You say it should do this, but it's really not quantified.
Well, as far as on the property tax side, I spoke with the assessor's office today, so I have a fairly good idea on the assessment on that side.
Okay, so and how long is it still going to be before we collect the full value on it?
Next year, which will be fiscal year, we will be budgeting for fiscal year 2019. That will be year one. Okay, and so 25% of their value, which is being estimated right now at about $90 million, will come on the books. So that will be considered new construction. In year 6, the full value comes on. So they receive a break for 5 years. But the 25% remains on for those first 5 years.
You're helping me to get more information I've had.
Okay.
Is there any record provided in terms of an analysis of what the impact of the more discharge to our waste treatment plant will do? Is there an analysis if it's...
Well, remember, there's 7 rates. I don't know if I have
but I mean,
all 7
I'm
in
looking
front of me right here.
particularly at what this specified rate reduction.
It was only on the volume chart.
I know that, but what I'm saying, have we looked at what the impact will be on our treatment plant and all that? There's going to be a double in volume.
John here, that would be more of a John question
Okay,
than
but
a
we
Joyce
we haven't done a financial study on that, right?
Well, that wouldn't be so much a financial study. What I can tell you at this point is that there are 7 different rates. Now, the one is the volume, which has to do with the water flow. The others are the analysis of what's being processed through, which is getting to more your direction, and those rates were not discounted.
Okay. Is there, I'm looking for a plan that I can put my hands on that informs me of how I make a decision on behalf of the public. Are you aware of any plan that would give me that information? Not just having to take it on somebody's word and their assessment right now. I don't have a plan that I can just grab and say. And the only thing I've been given so far is a justification, is a letter by some other mayor in years before. I'm looking for what our plan is, what our and if there are guarantees of performance. You know, usually when we set up a TIF district, we will stage how much we will do based on what they will do. And is there any plan that states that you're aware of?
No, and I can say that in my earlier years here at the city, there was about 4 of these different discounts that was being conducted between the years, I want to say 2004 to 2010, and none of those had that particular. So this is not, for the economic development side of it, this one I think is better than some of the previous ones in that it had a sunset clause and it also had to deal with expansion, whereas the others were just a break. Okay.
And my one last question here. If we were in a position to, with those other things, is there a total, you know, when you do a budget, and there's a lot of discrepancy in what people see as the impact, has there been a total possible impact that this fee could do against our city on an annualized basis for 10 years? In other words,
No.
What would it cost to the city be over 10 years?
No, not on this. I can say in prior issues with the city, I'm going to use the pilot, that was included within rate studies and did impact your fees, and so that was included. If this rate is still in place by the time we enter into the next rate study, all those considerations would be taken into account. At this point, we're monitoring the impact by how we're executing the budget from year to year. So in that regard, we are doing the analysis of, has this impacted in a way that WPC can't provide the services that we expected to provide between the 2015 to 2019 year? And we haven't seen any indication that that has been an issue.
Okay, and so the analysis is that we try it 1 year, and we're kind of into that year right now.
Right.
And then next year we'll have an understanding of where we are, and we can do an evaluation.
Right.
And your understanding is if we're really negatively impacted, we can reverse our positions.
Well, then you can take that information into consideration. But I know that when we did the reserve review at the end of fiscal year 16, they were building reserves, so they were moving in a healthy position. I also know that the numbers that have been stated publicly about this particular issue are not accurate. That's why we're doing the audit review.
Okay. Yeah, because I calculated off of numbers I was given.
Right, and that's when it was discovered that that was incorrect.
Okay. Questions? No. Okay, did she get all your questions? Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Then, with that, I declare the public hearing closed. This will also be prepared for ordinance on the 17th.
Resolution.
Resolution. I got it right there. Resolution. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to agenda item 9, public hearing, zoning map amendment, 2259 Hawthorne Road. This time has been set aside for council to hear comments from the public regarding a request by Calland, represented by Blake Jolly of Connect Engineering, for a zoning map amendment for property located at 4259 Hawthorne Road. The request is to rezone the property from residential medium-density single-family to residential commercial professional. The property has a comprehensive plan, map designation of commercial. At their meeting on June 28, 2017, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the request.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm Blake Jolly with Connect Engineering, representing Mr. Calland today, but the address of 1150 Holly Park Drive in Idaho Falls. Appreciate the opportunity to stand before you and present this request to rezone the property on Hawthorne Avenue. As we met in June, discussing this presentation in front of Planning and Zoning, I think a few things were brought up, and I just want to kind of quickly go over those as well. To be able to, sure, I'll try to speak up.
Try to speak up. There's a microphone here that should be coming through the speakers for you, but if you could speak up, I guess.
I'll do my best. Okay. First of all, with our request to rezone the property from RMS to RCP, there's currently RCP zoning properties to the north and to the south of the property that we're requesting to be rezoned. So we feel like this RCP request isn't something that would be done as such as a spot zone or anything else. There's other things that have been done to this zone in the adjacent area. And so we feel like we're just kind of continuing some of the trend that's been set in that area. It was also discussed in the hearing with the Planning Commission of what we're preparing to, or what we're proposing to do in the area or on the property. And so I don't feel like that's a big deal that needs to be discussed or has to be hidden at all. We're proposing to do a single-family, single-story townhome style development. And I know that was a big concern at the Planning Commission meeting, that with the potential of us building or proposing to build a 4-story building or something of that nature. So I just wanted to be open and clear that that was our proposal as we work through this. And my client has purchased the property. It's in his name. It's not working through a buy-sell agreement or anything of that nature. So we're moving forward and have been working with staff, both planning and engineering wise, to be able to move forward with this project if we can get the City Council and Mayor's okay to change that zoning designation. There was also some questions and concerns brought up about access to the property and how that would be done. And in working with engineering staff, and the property will be mainly access to Hawthorne Road. So that'll act as the main access, but where Ward Park has Sunnybrook Drive that is stubbed into this property on the south, engineering has asked us to tie into that road and continue that street through.
That's Sunnybrook?
Sunnybrook Drive, yes, correct. We've also looked at the existing facilities that are in the area, meaning water, sewer, and those city utilities that would be connected to, and those are adequate to be able to maintain something that would be allowed in the RCP zone. So that shouldn't be a worry to the city or a burden on the city at that is also. Trying to think if there's anything else that we want to bring up or discuss or disclose to council as they look to their discussion. I think right now we're okay, so I'll entertain any questions if there's any for me at this time.
I have one question. You said you're going to build townhomes, one level?
They'll be single story.
Single story. Going to be basements in it?
No.
And the lot size is going to be 1,400 and some square feet?
Yep.
So how big would the homes be?
The home's going to fit inside that 1,452 square feet, and I'm trying to remember. Most of them are either one bedroom, one bath, or two bedroom, one bath units with a garage. Single store or a single garage for each dwelling. So I'm trying to remember how many square feet that it is. But
well, I'm trying to put this in my mind because we're getting small because we're 1,400. I think it was 32 if I remember. But and if you put
square feet,
that size of a house on that amount of property, you probably have some setbacks and things that you have to meet too.
Yep.
What would be the square footage on a two-bedroom house? Just
I think if I remember right, I got to add these up in my head, but I think on the one bed, one bath, the the bedroom I think is 12 by 10 or 14 by 10. I can't remember for sure exactly, but that give you an idea. So that's 140 square feet, and then your kitchen living room area, you're probably another 15 feet deep by 10 foot wide, so that's another 150 square feet, so you're up to 280. And then your living room area is probably about the same. So I'm guessing it's, your living space is about 500 to 600 square feet.
Okay.
And in the planning commission meeting, we mentioned that my client's been building these projects. He's done quite a few of them in Billings, Montana. We're doing 3 of them in Idaho Falls right now, and the units that he builds are very well upkept. He maintains ownership of each one of these lots. He's not building them to sell them. He's building more of them to lease, a long-term lease, and he maintains the landscaping and all that kind of stuff so that the HOA will maintain to make sure that everything's taken care of and each person pays a due into that each month. So
how double car, single car garage, 400 square feet?
The garages are 24 by 12, if I remember right, deep, and then the setback in that RCP zone is 25 feet to the right-of-way line, so the garage will be set back 25 feet, so they'll be able to fit 2 cars in there.
24 by 12, you can fit 2 cars?
What's that?
What did you say the dimension was, 24 by 12?
I think if I remember right, the garage is 24 by 12. So 24 deep, 12 wide, and then you've got 25 foot setback to your garage, so 2 cars in tandem parking.
I couldn't get out of a car in that garage.
So it's not a small house, but it's a smaller house.
Yeah.
Tiny house, and that's what they call it.
They're not on wheels.
Tiny house, they're not on wheels.
On permanent foundation. But I did mention also, and I forgot to mention it here in the Planning Commission meeting, the general trend of what we're seeing of people, the age of people that tend to rent these, they are typically on the older end of the generation scale. And that's because you got the 1 bedroom, 1 bath. A lot of people that are tired of taking care of a yard, they're looking for something to live in and be there and not have minimal maintenance. Yeah. And that's the trend that we're finding. I'm not going to say you don't have, a single mom, a single dad that has 1 kid or something like that. They may end up renting the 2 bedroom, 1 bath units. But in Idaho Falls, we do have a 2 bedroom, 2 bath unit, but on this property with the footprint of it, it's just not going to work. So we've stuck with the 1 bed, 1 bath, 2 bed, 1 bath.
Super. Any other questions? Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Council, I think I need to ask if there's been any ex parte. Yes, see, I remember that. Has there been any ex parte communication.
We don't even know what that is.
I know we don't. I just know it's written here and I have to ask and such.
Well,
super. Terry.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Terry Newland, the Assistant Planner for the City of Pocatello. This rezone application has been initiated by Cal Kunkel, represented by Blake Jolly of Connect Engineering, in accordance with Municipal Code Section 17.02.180B1. The rezoning request encompasses approximately 9.889 acres and is located at 4259 Hawthorne Road. There is a single-family home on the subject lot, and the surrounding uses are a mix of single-family residences, multi-family residences, OK Ward Park, and some commercial across the street in Chubbuck. The applicant originally let me back up. And also the pet lodge just south of this property. The applicant originally requested the property to be rezoned residential high density, but staff notified the engineer that the comprehensive plan land use map designation is commercial for that area, and they would have to go through a map amendment in addition to the rezone. In changing the rezone from residential high density to residential commercial professional, the applicant can still have the high density residential, but because of the commercial component of that designation, in a comprehensive plan land use map amendment is not necessary. Notice of this application was published in the Idaho State Journal and sent to property owners within a 300-foot radius of the subject site on July 18, 2017. At the Planning and Zoning Commission public hearing, 3 people testified neutral to the application and 2 people testified in opposition to the application. Nobody spoke in support of the application. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval. Based on the findings outlined in the staff report that you received in your packet, staff recommends approval of the rezoning of the property from residential medium density single family to residential commercial professional. And this concludes my presentation, but I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
So how many properties, how many individual units will be on this property? That's probably really not our consideration tonight, just the zoning, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Because it's an outright zoning. If it was a contract rezone, then we would have that information, yes.
Okay, any other questions? Have you had any correspondence?
No, not since Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay, thank you. Then we would look for any testimony supporting the application. Any testimony uncommitted to the... Are you uncommitted or supporting?
He wants to be committed.
Supporting, all right.
His wife would like him to be committed.
His wife would like him committed. He's just supporting, though.
Can't always be uncommitted.
That's right.
Mike Seibert, 1665 Pocatello Creek Road. And I guess before you is just about the zoning ordinance. I mean, the zoning of the property, not what's in it. And that area is transitioning from a residential aspect into a commercial type area. And a lot of the properties up and down Hawthorne Road. And this sort of fits that. But one issue that needs to be addressed is the width of the Hawthorne Road north of Chubbuck Road. The city of Chubbuck is taking care of their share of the road on the east side. They got 2 lanes, they got bike lane and a sidewalk. Pocatello side has 1 lane and the curb, and the street property line is on the curb. So there's no room for a sidewalk or another lane.
Now, where's that again? Between Quinn?
To the underpass under the interstate.
Okay, but it's from
north
Quinn.
of Chubbuck Road on Hawthorne, between there and the interstate. The west side street right-of-way line is at the curb line.
So,
but there's not 1 inch west of the curb.
So, Mike, the city of Pocatello line is Quinn Road, and so anything south of Quinn is Pocatello, anything north is Chubbuck.
Right.
No, that's not. But
what we got is the west side of Hawthorne is Pocatello.
That's right.
The east side is Chubbuck.
That's right.
Okay, and Chubbuck's got adequate facilities on their road. Pocatello don't. Pocatello doesn't have any room to widen 1 additional lane they need and also put in a sidewalk.
That's right.
So part of this condition ought to be to address this and either have additional setbacks to allow for some right-of-way acquisition, or right up front stipulate some acquisitions for additional lane and a sidewalk. And the reason I know this is because I did utility work in there and couldn't find any place to put utilities.
That's right. Okay, any others in support of the application? Okay, any uncommitted to the application? Any opposed to the application? We've got an opposed already.
My name is Lori Bigelow, and I live at 4218 Sunnybrook, so within 300 feet of where they want to extend to go in. And I was one of the ones that opposed at the other meeting. That was with the zoning committee, I guess it was. And in that part of it, you know, there was a lot of questions and answers, and we were told that he himself told us that even college students would like some place like that to live, that it would be a nice place for them. We have Elegant Living that is on the one end of Wright and Heber, right there, down there. And we get a lot of traffic from them coming in and out. And so we feel like, well, I feel like the property is zoned for single-family housing, and that's what everybody other than the Elegant Living is there. And to bring in apartments is going to bring down the value of our homes and create a lot of problems with traffic in the area when they open up Sunnybrook for something like that. If they opened it up for single-family living, the people that live there would care more about what was happening up and down the street and everything. We're concerned that that's not going to happen when the people don't live there. And he told us that they would they would put an amount of money that people would be able to make, like around $45,000. That would be a minimum they'd be able to make and live there. That's a lot of money for Pocatello area, and especially for older people, if that's what he thinks is going to live there, who are on fixed incomes. That's my opinion. So I'm against it.
Thank you, Lori. Any others opposed to the application? Okay, then we will give Blake an opportunity to answer the questions or rebut the...
Just to discuss a little bit of what she talked about. I did in the last meeting discuss the opportunity, you know, for a college student or something of that nature to live there. There's no way that we can guarantee who's going to be there. That's just the trends that we have. And this is in Billings. He does have these units in a college town, but they are distance away from the college, so we're not sure how that's going to impact it. But it's a potential to be there. Traffic within new development is going to increase. It's organized. If we work with engineering and doing it in an organized manner and in a known manner, I think traffic will be mitigated by natural causes that way. We my client does do a check, and each tenant has to have a minimum income to be able to qualify for those. And I did tell them between $40,000 to $45,000, and that's what I remember off my top of the head. I could be high a little bit on there, but if I remember right, that's right around that dollar amount. They just want to ensure that they have the ability to make a payment each month, just like anybody else does. So with that, might add a little clarification to some of the things she brought up.
And college students can meet that requirement?
Depends on how they get paid to go to college. If they got parents, and most of the time, honestly, in this, if you got a 1-bedroom, 2-bath, you're probably going to have, if 2-bedroom, you're probably going to have 4 kids living there. If you have 1 bed, you still might get 2. That's when I went to college down here. That's how we afforded it. So anyway,
yeah, it sounds like if you have a minimum of that kind to make sure that college students I'm not going to say they're not out there, but
How do you respond to the suggestion that we have more setback off of Hawthorne for expansion of that road?
I think when we were originally looking at the property lines, I was shocked to see that it was right behind the curb line. And to be honest with you, the way we've got the project laid out, if there was probably, I'm thinking if there was 10 or 15 feet that would have to be taken, I don't think it would affect us. I wasn't trying to put a unit right on close to the road, trying to deal with side view triangles and everything like that to make sure that it was safe coming in and off of Hawthorne. So I don't necessarily think it would affect us that much. It would be a discussion that we'd be willing to work with you on, because I think that Hawthorne on that west side, he does bring up a great point.
Well, we're putting in an intersection at Quinn and Hawthorne that will increase load probably. Well, I think it's designed to.
Well, it's designed to run the load that's there now, I think.
But I mean, if it's better, then people should.
Do that.
So
they could ask for that. Yeah.
I don't remember how much it takes to get a sidewalk and another lane in. Do you think your 20 feet would do all that?
I'm trying to think with it. I guess you could do it two ways. You're to have your utility easement behind that also. That you'd have to make sure you had utilities that could run through there. But sometimes I've seen where you've got your sidewalk will run over the top of that utility easement, where they put your utilities and conduits and stuff like that. It makes it a lot easier to work with. So, 15 or 20 feet wouldn't be out of the norm. I'm just thinking you're probably going to put a 12-foot lane in there to for adequate width to be able to do things of that nature. So you got a 12-foot lane, and if you created a big enough sidewalk that you could actually use it as a sidewalk and a bike path. We've done that on another project we had where you just increase the width so people have the ability to get by. Maybe you wouldn't have to give up room for a bike path and a sidewalk, but just an idea. So yeah, you're probably not far off for 15 to 20 feet.
Do you think your client would be adverse to our making that a condition of this?
We can't do that tonight.
Honestly, with where I'm at, and I don't have the building set where I know it's there. I know it's 15. I know it's over 15 feet. I think it's pushing the 20 to 30 mark. But I think to put the restriction on giving up that portion to go through there right now, I don't necessarily know if he'd be for or against. I think it'd just be neutral. I think we'd be happy to discuss it further and try to make it work for both parties in that nature.
It should be to your advantage.
Terry,
what's that?
It should be to your advantage too if we take care of business out there.
Yeah. And I did fail to bring up one thing that there's been a little bit of discussion on, in that RCP zone, it does allow up to 30 units per the acre, and I can tell you we are going to be well below that. If you can imagine 1,452 square feet per unit, there's no way you're going to get up to that 30 units per acre. That'd be 270 units. We're not even going to get close to that. So.
Okay.
Terry up here.
Okay, any other questions for him? Thank you very much. I declare the public hearing closed. How do you wish to proceed? Councilwoman Adamson.
I think it sounds like a very nice project. It sounds like they're going to do a great job with it, and so I would move that we approve the request, and I would not at this time make any additional stipulations. I think we can work that out with them when the subdivision gets. So I would just say approve it.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion by Adamson and a second by Moore. Ruth, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Adamson?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Bray?
Yes.
Brown? Yes. Johnston?
No.
Orr?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll move to agenda item number 10. Is an ordinance. An ordinance vacating the right-of-way identified as a portion of the right-of-way of Crescini Court located in the Hidden Valley Subdivision, 2nd edition. Said vacation was approved by council on May 21, 2015, and all conditions contained therein have been met. Council, how do you wish this ordinance to be read?
Quickly.
Is that a motion? I don't know what that means.
Well, I was just cruising how long it was. Yeah. Mr. Mayor, I move the ordinance agenda item number 10A be read only by title and placed on final passage for publication, and that only the ordinance summary sheet be submitted for publication.
Second.
Thank you. I was hanging out there for a while.
Thank you, Council President. A motion and a second by Johnston. Ruth, could you please call the roll?
Brown.
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Adamson.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Orr.
Yes.
Thank you. Rich, could you please read the ordinance?
Yes, Mayor. An ordinance of the City of Pocatello, a municipal corporation of Idaho, abandoning and vacating the right-of-way identified as portions of the right-of-way of Corsini Court located in Hidden Valley Subdivision, 2nd Edition. A subdivision recorded in the Bannock County, Idaho, under the instrument number 205222128. Said subdivision is located in the southwest quarter of Section 19, Township 6 South, Range 35 East of the Boys Meridian, Bannock County, Idaho, described as follows, beginning at the southwest corner of Section 19, recorded as corner perpetuation, and finally record instrument number 5756223 in the records of Bannock County. Then south, 89 degrees, 37 minutes, 35 seconds east, a distance of 1,176.39 feet. To the west, 16th corner of the south line of Section 19. Then north, 00 degrees, 02 minutes, 04 seconds east, a distance of 1321.72 feet. To a southwest, 1/16th corner of Section 19, being marked by a 2-inch aluminum cap affixed to a 5/8-inch rebar marked PLS 2341 per 1st edition to the Hidden Valley subdivision. Then north, 00 degrees, 02 minutes, 40 seconds east, a distance of 29.94 feet to the southeast corner of Lot 1, Block 1, boundary line of said subdivision. Then north, 00 degrees, 02 minutes, 40 seconds east, a distance of 131.78 feet. Thence north, 50 degrees, 34 minutes, 10 seconds east, a distance of 103.90 feet to the point of beginning. Then thence north, 50 degrees, 34 minutes, 10 seconds east, a distance of 82.34 feet. Thence north, 39 degrees, 25 minutes, 50 seconds west, a distance of 50 feet. Thence south, 50 degrees, 34 minutes, 10 seconds west, a distance of 26.51 feet to a center of tangency with a 23.50-foot radius curve whose center bears north 39 degrees, 25 minutes, 50 seconds west. Thence, following said curve in a northwesterly direction through a central angle of 79 degrees, 25 minutes, 32 seconds. With an arc length of 32.58 feet, the chord of said curve bears north 89 degrees, 43 minutes, 4 seconds west, a distance of 30.03 feet to a point of non-tangency with a 50-foot radius curve whose center bears 67 degrees, 20 minutes, 6 seconds east. Thence, following the said curve in a southeasterly direction through a central angle of 255 degrees, 55 minutes, 23 seconds with an arc length of 223.33 feet, the chord of said curve bears south 29 degrees, 22 minutes, 24 seconds east, a distance of 78.84 feet to a point of tangency with a 25.50-foot radius curve whose center bears south 8 degrees, 35 minutes, 17 seconds west. Thence, following said curve in a southwesterly direction through the central angle of 48 degrees, 01 minute, 11 seconds, with an arc length of 21.37 feet, the chord of said curve bears south 74 degrees, 34 minutes, 41 seconds west, a distance of 20.75 feet to a point of beginning. Said parcel contains 3,835.86 feet, more or less. Provided that the public right-of-way herein vacated shall be distributed in its entirety to the adjoining property owner and developer, Tuscany Hill Development Company, LLC, and Idaho Limited Liability Corporation, in accordance with Idaho Code Sections 5311 and 501306, parens A, as deemed to be in the best interest of the owners of the vacated property for the public good, provided that this ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage, approval, and publication according to law, the rule requiring that an ordinance be read on 3 separate occasions, having been dispensed with.
You've been practicing.
Just so you know, I've asked him to record that and double time it, but he won't do that. So I declare that to be the final reading of the ordinance. Shall the ordinance pass?
Adamson.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Orr.
Yes.
Thank you. Agenda item 10B, an ordinance amending Pocatello Municipal Code Title 13, Chapter 4, General Regulations by amending Section 13.04.120, depth of pipes, to addressing the burial depth of water main lines, and Section 13.04.170, owner responsibility for leaks, to establish property owner's responsibility for the connection outside the city meter box to the premises served.
Mr. Mayor.
Council President Brown.
I move the ordinance agenda item 10B be read only by title, placed on final passage for publication, and that only the ordinance summary sheet be submitted for publication.
Second.
We've got a motion by President Brown and a second by Bray. Could you please call the roll?
Brown.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Adamson.
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Orr.
Yes.
Rich, would you please read the ordinance? It's not near as long. I just want you to know that.
Yes, Mayor. An ordinance of the City of Pocatello, a municipal corporation of Idaho, revising Title 13, Chapter 04, General Regulations of the revised and compiled ordinances of the City of Pocatello, more particularly by amending Sections 13.04.120, quote, depth of pipes, unquote, to amend service lines to main lines, and 13.04.170, owner responsibility for leaks, providing that the property owner shall take precautionary measures to prevent and identify leaks from the water meter to the premises served, provided that all other sections of Chapter 13.04 shall remain in full force and effect, provided that this order shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage, approval, and publication according to law, the rule requiring that an ordinance be read on 3 separate occasions having been dispensed with.
I told you that's a lot better, right? I declare that to be the final reading of the ordinance. Shall the ordinance pass?
Adamson.
Yes.
Gray.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Orr.
Amen. Yes.
Thank you very much. We'll move to agenda item number 11, discussion items. This time has been set aside to hear discussion items not listed on the agenda. Items which appear somewhere else on the agenda will not be discussed at this time. The council is not allowed to take any official action on at this meeting on matters brought forward under this agenda item. Items will either be referred to the appropriate staff or scheduled on a subsequent agenda. You must sign in at the beginning of the meeting in order to be recognized, and there is a time limit of 3 minutes per person and 15 minutes for this agenda item. We'll go ahead and get started. Mike Riley, Dr. Mike Riley. Pretty fast on that. Your dog couldn't keep up with you there.
I was half asleep.
Oh.
Good evening, members of the council, Mr. Mayor, viewers at home, my friend, and unfortunately, I'm in a situation where I have to visit with you today to discuss the difficulties some wheelchairs are having with motorists running into us. Several of my colleagues have been injured over the last couple of months. Earlier this week, I got hit by a car by Ming's Cafe. The gentleman tipped my chair like this, and then when I asked him to back the car up, I had to yell at him. It was rather undignified that he backed the car up and then he took off before I could contact the police. Now, I'm not in a position to stay in the house and be a shut-in and all of these things. I've tried different methods to be more visible, but I've also accepted the fact that I'm usually the shortest guy in the room. And So, on behalf of myself and my colleagues, I would like to suggest that we look at some options. Having a flag on the back is not very functional in terms of coming in and out of public buildings. I've had some exterior lighting on the back of my other chair, but unfortunately that chair burned up, and so I'm using my spare. So we've got to just think about how to get a little bit safer. To be honest with you, if this chair goes up on 2 wheels, I want to be able to control when that happens. I'm not trying to make light of the situation, but in a high-stress situation like that, sometimes jokes are the best remedy. I don't enjoy being that close to a car. I'm not looking to be a hood ornament. But these situations are precarious at best, and so I know that my colleagues that have been injured, I heard that one of them has spent a month in the hospital. Wheelchairs are not going away. I'm originally from Los Angeles, so I believe that I'm skilled at crossing streets safely, at least at a high rate of speed, to maintain a sense of deliberation and moving quickly and efficiently. So consider that. I don't want to see anyone else get hurt. I see my time is up. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. We'll move on to Terry Shumway. And I'm sorry, Terry. Was it Lori? Thank you very much for moving that so we didn't chew on the...
Mr. Mayor, Councilman, Council Lady, I'm here, I live on 885 Linda Avenue, and I'm here where you as neighbors are concerned about the island that's going in on Jefferson and Alameda Road. And the reason is the traffic department said that everybody will go to Poplar when that gets put in. Nobody's going to backtrack from going to Poplar. They're going to come up Redwood and to Linda. There's no sidewalks on Linda or Redwood. There's 2 bus stops on the north end of Linda and Alameda, Redwood and Alameda. The lighting's bad and the roads aren't wide enough. When you get to this north end of Linda to turn left or right onto Alameda, it's hard to see because of the traffic coming up Alameda. And emergency vehicles coming up Redwood, turning off at Jefferson and up Linda. I don't think the road's quite wide enough for emergency vehicles, especially if you're going to have to pass semis or, like, say, cement trucks that will be coming up there, because Linda will look just like Jefferson northbound. And they say that island cost $1 million. I think maybe that could be used maybe somewhere else in a better plan than just putting an island in. And how many, it says there was a lot of accidents reported. I don't know how many was cars or versus kids or 100% injury. I think it's a bad plan. It should be looked at and not done. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to Idaho Lorax. Did you sign up here?
No, I didn't realize I needed to. So I thought we were just talking about the same topic. Yeah.
Oh. Are you all here for that? Just a minute, Idaho, if you would, please. Is everybody here for?
Yes.
For the Jefferson?
Yes. Yep.
Do you have any disagreements with what Terry was just saying?
No.
You agree with it?
Yeah. It's not. We have families. I have children.
So, yeah, we understand that. I'm not. How many wanted to speak? 2, 3, 4. We're not going to get 5. We're not going to get to all of you anyway.
I would suggest that
A good thing by asking them, do they concur with his statements, and you can use that as a group voice.
She has to pay for it.
She's the most prepared. She should get to
She's the most prepared.
Yes. Go for Calland.
This always comes back and bites me when I do this. It always comes back and gets me if I do that. But
Put them after me.
Absolutely. I'll put them after you. Why don't you then come up? I'm going to be in trouble for this one.
Yeah.
Can Terry speak for all of you? Can we take Terry's testimony as that's how you feel, and we need to look at it, and then if you have something written and prepared, we can take that and at least have that with us and give it to her.
Is actually notes with some additional points.
Never mind. We won't do that then.
Yeah.
We're going to go ahead and have Idaho Lorax speak, and then we'll have one more person. And so if you're the one that they've designated,
I would suggest that you take the gentleman's testimony as if they concur verbally. I would also suggest that maybe another mechanism would be have them mail their notes or a letter to the mayor and council. I mean, that way, just so that we maintain the...
You're going to save me. I get it. So why don't we do that? If everybody concurs with Terry, we'll take that, and then if you would please put your notes together, email them to us. You're welcome to email them to me.
Can you send our information to somebody else, like the engineer department?
That's what I would do if you send it to me at mayor@pocatello.us. Then I will make sure the engineering department gets it.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Many of you I've talked with many of you on the phone also, and just so you're aware, there's been discussions with the mayor and the street superintendent about your concerns already, but please go ahead and email or mail in your concerns in addition. So we're hearing you.
We'll see. Yeah, please do that, and we'll get it to the right people, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, if we can do that.
One quick question. Did you guys vote on that item? Did you guys vote on it, or will you vote on it, or already done?
It's already been done and in the works. We've done some stuff, but it's probably not too late for us to. We just need to look at it and see. I know it's been studied for decades, I believe, and so we've done some things. So we'll, if you'll email that to us, and we'll figure out a way to communicate with you on it, and so that we're in good shape. Okay. Thank you, Idaho.
This is just a humble request I have of you. I rarely get the opportunity to see you all together. And rather than your sullen look sometimes of seriousness or even giddies, but I would like a picture of you all waving. We have a flag now. You know, I believe you're waving the flag. But I would like all of you in a better light. A smile. He's got a nice smile right now, and just a nice request, would you give me that wave, so to speak? You think I can get that? Okay with it?
What was your name?
We're a pretty good, we're a pretty serious group, so why don't we go ahead and just continue on?
So I'd say no, huh? I tried.
Thank you, Mike.
Go ahead, Derek.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Well, then I'll be brief. I hope we see some of you there Monday here. And remember, absolute integrity. Learn some of the information that's going to be about what it's about, because it's not about one thing, it's about very certain specific things. Basically, it's undebatable. So we're giving people information, it's all fact-born, and hopefully you're there to learn because it's our community. So hopefully you come. We're welcome, of course.
Thank you.
Are we involved in that or hosting that or anything?
I don't know what he's talking about.
Okay, so I just want to clarify.
Yeah, no, I don't know what he's talking about on that, so we'll see. Okay, thank you very much, council. Thank you for it's been a long, hard day of meetings, and we appreciate your time, efforts, and thank you very much. And with that, we are adjourned.